Hello and welcome to Formula First TV, proudly brought to you by CMS Limited for coverage of the Haiku Components New Zealand Formula First Championship. Here we are at round one at Manfield Circuit de Amon. After testing yesterday under sunny skies, we've got a little bit of overcast here today for qualifying in race one, and as always we'll bring in our local Formula First expert, Jonathan Morton. Jonathan, here we are, round one, qualifying in race one.
Yeah, it's an exciting day. It's obviously been eagerly anticipated building up to this day. Bit of a breakthrough yesterday with everyone back on track, but today this is where they're going to earn their money and start establishing themselves at the front of the championship.
Exactly, and obviously we've got a great number of cars here, looking around the 20 car mark, which is great for Formula First racing, especially here at Manfield where it's really exciting.
Yeah, it should be a competitive field too, and that's the most important thing. It's quite open at this stage. Everyone's got a shot, and it'll be interesting to see how the day pans out going forward.
Of course, a few new drivers, the rookies, denoted by their orange numbers this year, which is a first for Motorsport New Zealand, and Haiku Components have come back on board again as the series sponsor. Yeah,
the coverage that they provide and the support for our class is second to none, and so it's great to have them back on board this year, and especially with the big 50th celebration later in the season.
Exactly, so as we move on to qualifying now, it'll definitely be a frivolous effort out there on track to try and get the pole position, and hopefully everyone comes off all nice and happy and we can get into race one and into this championship. And so race one of the Haiku Components New Zealand Formula First Championship done and dusted, and it was Chris Symon who managed to take the win, and Jonathan, Chris really just sort of drove away with it.
Yeah, he's really taken everybody in this Formula First Championship to school today, being a school teacher himself. He's taken pole quite convincingly and, as you say, drove away at the front of the field and didn't really bother with anybody else.
It was a pretty clean start. Unfortunately, Ron Carter missed second gear, so he muffed the start a little bit, but nice clean start to the race, and at one stage it looked like the second bunch was actually catching Chris because he'd made a gap. Yeah,
he got away early, and probably the best start was young Thomas Boniface. He was back, and disappointing for him, 13th after the qualifying, and he rocketed up right to the front pack straight away. So he established himself in there, and yeah, the front guys sort of worked together for a little bit, and then they sort of started battling as they do, and allowed Chris just to ease away at the front and just focus about setting consistent lap times and just doing what he had to do.
And yeah, so Chris ended up winning, but it was that second bunch that really turned it on for the fans.
Yeah, it was your traditional Formula First bunch. It sort of split up partway through the race. Taylor Hurst had a spin at the hairpin, but they all got together again, and there was a group of 5 going the last lap, and she was all on coming around Dunlop. They were 2 by 2 by 2, so it was anyone's race to the line.
And yes, they actually ended up finishing in their grid positions, funnily enough, with Liam Foster in second and Billy Fraser coming third, so they'll be really stoked with a podium to start the championship with.
Yeah, I mean, it's all about just establishing a good start, isn't it? It's about minimising mistakes at the start of the season and just getting on a good roll and building a bit of momentum.
And of course, don't want those big fat donuts.
Yeah, exactly. And that's something that Chris learnt last year. Obviously, he struggled, so he'll be, good for his confidence, and looking forward, that's what he needs to keep doing.
So, and good thing is, all the cars are intact for race 2 and 3 tomorrow.
Yeah, that should be a relatively easy night for the crews tonight. Just do a bit of fine-tuning and just a bit of tinkering, and should we all go first thing in the morning.
And so with his thoughts on his race win, race number 1 of the championship, here's Chris Symon.
Yeah, it was great to get off the line and start the season well. Once they started battling behind me, it was kind of just cleared off, and clean, consistent laps managed to get me a good 4-second lead, and from there it was just maintaining the gap, and to get 75 points to start the championship's been great.
And so here we are Sunday afternoon after races 2 and 3 of the Haiku Components New Zealand Formula First Championship, and Jonathan, race 2, it was a bit of a repeat really.
Yeah, up front it was a same old. Chris Symon cleared out from the front, and the others battled it out for second.
It's fair to say Chris had a huge gap. There's not many times you really see that here at Manfield.
Yeah, he's certainly got the infield nailed through here, and that seems to be where he's able to make his advantage. He gets the run through on the first lap, makes the gap, and is able to maintain it while the rest of them battle it out.
And so behind that, they're obviously battling for second and third for the podium, and it all sort of erupted on lap 6.
Yeah, it was a big group of probably 7 or 8 of them battling away, and unfortunately, going to the hairpin, Thomas Boniface has collected the back of Taylor Hurst and spat him off, and Thomas didn't finish the race, and Taylor finished down the back of the field. And
yes, so here's Thomas with a few words on that incident.
The break was just a bit long. think it just started getting worse and worse over the course of the race. Unfortunate for Taylor, as he was just in the wrong place, wrong time, I guess. He was just a passenger, but yeah, totally my fault. The race just kept getting worse, so yeah, that's basically the end of it.
And so after all the dust cleared, it was Chris Symon with a huge gap to the rest of the field who won the race.
Yeah, actually got a pretty poor start. Thomas Boniface on second jumped me with a great start, but managed to get him back into turn one, and from there just cleared off out of the hairpin, which has been our weakest point over the last few championships, is now our strongest. So clearing gaps, and from there, as soon as they start battling, we're off. So it's been a great start of the season. Lots of support from Linden Street School families, which has been great as well.
And so race 3 of the championship, and for once it wasn't all Chris Symon's way.
No, young Thomas Boniface, who was starting beside him on the front row, actually got the jump on him and managed to lead him through the infield, and that sort of kept the pack together for the first time this weekend. And so Chris actually ended up getting shuffled towards the back about lap 2 or 3, came across the line in 5th place. But a bit of Nelston, he able to get back up to the front.
Yeah, like we had a massive queue of 12 cars, which is something Dennis Martin predicted earlier in the race, that there was going to be a huge pack at the front. And Chris did manage to get back to the front, but he definitely didn't drive away.
No, they certainly kept him at bay. Reece Hindlecox was probably the number one challenge for him. Unfortunately, we lost Thomas Boniface at about lap 2 or 3, and he didn't finish with an engine issue. But the rest of them sort of followed him behind, and slowly as the race went on, they started separating a little bit. But it was a mad dash down to the line for those podium places.
Yeah, so we had basically a 4-car queue at the front, and Reece Hindlecox, the only one really challenging Chris for the win.
Yeah, Chris was relatively comfortable out front and was leading most of the time. And as you say, Reece had a couple of looks at him but couldn't quite get the job done. But Fraser and Liam Foster, they were right there, and they could have taken it at any moment. So it's still, coming the last lap, wasn't anyone's guess.
And so it was Chris Symon who actually took out race 3, completing the 3-peat for this weekend, and a whole bag of 225 points for the round.
Can't get better than that. Pole, 3 race wins. It's been a great weekend. As I said before, can't thank Dad enough, and all the sponsors that have been supporting us. That race was a bit more hectic with a big bunch at the front, all over the track, so it was just about keeping it safe, keeping it clean, and it was great to cross the line first again, so fantastic weekend.
And so Chris Symon has the championship lead, followed closely by Liam Foster and Billy Fraser, but Jonathan, the Rookie of the Year and the Sunset Award.
Yeah, and after quite a competitive weekend for everybody, Ronan Murphy, the young Speed Sport Scholarship winner, is leading the Rookie of the Year at the moment. And Ron Carter, on return to the class after a year off, he's managed to take out the Sunset Award for this round, and also the CMS Hard Charger Award.
And so a top effort from those blokes. And thank you, Jonathan, again for your expert comments this weekend. And we'll hopefully see you at Pukekohe, and make sure you get along to Pukekohe, as the Formula First will be celebrating 50 years that weekend, so it'll be bound to be some excellent racing. And from all of us here at Formula First TV, proudly brought to you by CMS Limited, it's bye for now.